morning, everyone. My name is Kristen, and I'm one of the interpretive rangers here at Katmai National Park and Preserve, and I'm coming to you from headquarters here in King Salmon, Alaska, where we are preparing for our 2017 summer season out at Brooks Camp. I'm here to share with you a little bit of a story about my favorite bear, 128, also known as Grazer. She had a litter of spring cubs last year. It was her first litter, and although she wasn't quite prepared for motherhood, she did an amazing job. She became famous pretty quickly last year as she made national news when her 3 spring cubs went one by one over the Brooks Falls, and she won Mother of the Year award for running down and making sure that everyone was accounted for and safe. It was pretty exciting to see some of the things that occurred over the summer last year, including but not limited to her interactions that she had with nearly every dominant male down at the Brooks Falls area. One of my favorite times of hers last year was when she was very tired from fishing, was a little bit stressed out, a little bit worn out, and she had treed her 3 spring cubs just adjacent to the platform. And I got a call from one of the other rangers up at the treehouse who informed me that 747 was on his way down. And sure enough, in about 2 minutes, coming from above was bear 747, and he was lumbering down to the bank. 747 stepped on a branch, snap! She turned around, and it took her about 1.5 seconds to just put her head down and start charging and charging and charging until she crack met up with 747, reared up on her hind legs, and literally started smacking him down, beating and rawr, rawr. Just pushing him back, letting him know that he was not welcome down there whatsoever. And she, in fact, pushed him about 30 yards to where he finally conceded and turned around and walked away. She then returned to her cubs, who, as soon as she had turned around to take on 747, had sprung to the top of the tree, which was now wavering back and forth. There was concern that the cubs were going to be falling out of the tree. There was concerns for 128's safety, but in the end, 128 ended up pretty much whooping 747 and asserting herself in the safety of her cubs. You know, a month or so later, when she came down just below the platform with her 3 cubs, she was a little bit more relaxed, and they were hanging out. And 480, Otis, had actually left his office for once and was fishing the jacuzzi hole. He took notice and looked over and looked at 128, looked back at the hole, and looked over at her again. And then he got up and he vacated the hole, went back to his office, and about a minute later, Grazer was in the jacuzzi hole and she was fishing. Successfully, might I add. She brought those fish, the salmon, back up onto the bank and fed the cubs. So that was a really amazing sight to see, and it was also just confirmation that even though we might not know exactly what is going on with bears in the beginning, sometimes they might seem frantic and like they don't know what they're doing, but there is always a possibility that they have a bigger picture in mind as well. And it seemed as though she was able to establish some sort of dominance and level of protection for her cubs so that she was able to fish at the main falls, both below the falls and above the falls on the lip. Not every path is going to look the same. Not every route, every way of doing things is ever going to look the same. And what matters most is that even though her fishing might not look like every other bear's, her mothering style might not look like every other bear out there, she really cares deeply for her cubs, and that's exhibited in a lot of ways and was last summer. And hopefully she'll return with 3 cubs this season, but you know what, even if she doesn't, she's got a special place in my heart, always will, and I will always remember her as one of our best mothers out there. Doesn't quite look like all the other mothers, but that's okay. It doesn't matter what you look like when you're doing it, as long as you're doing it with the best of hearts. So again, I'm Ranger Kristen, coming to you from headquarters here in King Salmon, and looking forward to our 2017 summer season. Should be a good one, folks. Thanks for watching.